Good morning, everybody. I'm so sorry, it is obviously not 7:30. By my count, it is exactly 8:30. I'm exactly an hour late. My excuse is that my kids are on an inset day, and so I was really enjoying a lovely lie-in, and I completely forgot about you all. So I'm really sorry about that. But hopefully you can catch up with us if you're someone who had to go to work or something like that, and you are used to us being at 7:30. Hopefully you'll catch up. Good morning to my one viewer here so far. I won't guess who it is. I'm going to read you the verses today because it's a nice short chunk and I think sometimes it's good to read it. So we are in Mark chapter 12 and we are reading from verse 13 to 17. Later they sent some of the Pharisees and Herodians to Jesus to catch him in his words. They came to him and said, "Teacher, we know that you are a man of integrity. You aren't swayed by others because you pay no attention to who they are, but you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth. Is it right to pay the poll tax to Caesar or not? Should we pay or shouldn't we?" But Jesus knew their hypocrisy. "Why are you trying to trick me?" he asked. "Bring me a denarius and let me look at it." They brought the coin and he asked them, "Whose image is this and whose inscription?" "Caesar's," they replied. Then Jesus said to them, "Give back to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God's." And they were amazed at him. Morning, Nick. Nick is responsible for reminding me that I had forgotten this morning, so you can all thank Nick for my presence here this morning, because I think I would have carried on with my lazy morning otherwise. So this is, it's quite an interesting passage. It's quite a political passage. So the Pharisees and the Herodians that they talk about, they're kind of on opposite political spectrums. I guess you could say they're like Labour and Conservative. The Pharisees were the diehard Jews. They were sold out, fully like Orthodox Jewish believers. And the Herodians were Roman citizens and Roman followers. So they were on complete opposite ends of the spectrum. And this tax that is asked of them is a tax for non-Roman citizens to pay so that they can carry on using the Roman money and they can use the Roman roads and they can be protected by the Roman army and they can live in the Roman houses and shop in the Roman shops with the Roman money and all of that. So kind of like the taxes that we pay today, you know, we pay taxes and then we get nice roads-ish, depending where you live, and schools and healthcare and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a very similar idea to what taxes are today. But the Pharisees and the other Jewish people, they didn't like paying the taxes because they were kind of forcibly under Roman rule. You know, we can choose where to live. We can choose to live in Wales and pay the Welsh tax, or we could choose to live in England and pay an English tax, or we could go and live in, France and pay a French tax. The Jewish people had no option. The Romans had come in, taken their land, and now they were being forced to pay their tax and use their money. So they weren't particularly happy about it. But look at the way they try and catch Jesus out. I mean, it's clever, isn't it? The religious leaders have sent in the Pharisees and the Herodians together because Jesus can't win. That's what they think. Because they're saying to Jesus, "Hey, we know you're great. We love you. You're amazing." They don't really. They're pretending. And then they say to him, "But should we pay this tax or not?" They kind of just slip it in there. And the problem is that if Jesus says yes, then the Pharisees are going to be really cross because that's like saying that he sides with Caesar and not with God because they believe that they only serve God and that they shouldn't have to pay the tax. So he says yes, and the Pharisees are like, "Well, hey, you're wrong, we're going to arrest you." But if he says no, then the Herodians, who are Roman, are going to be like, "Whoa, that's not allowed," and then they're going to arrest him. So it's a lose-lose situation for Jesus, or so they think. But then Jesus, he's quite witty, he's quick thinking, and he's like, "Hey, give me one of those coins, let me have a look." He looks at the coin and he says, "Yeah, that is Caesar's. It's Caesar's money. Like, Caesar is letting you use the money. Caesar is letting you use the road. It's only right that you give back to Caesar what is Caesar's." But then he says, "Give to God what is God's." So what is God's? I've got a quick other verse for you. It's from the book of Psalms, which is lots of like poetry and song literature. And it's just verse 1 and 2 of Psalm 24. And it says this. "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it, for he founded it on the seas and established it on the waters." So everything is God. We are God's. Our food that we eat is God's. The money that we have really is God's. Our time is God's. And so, yeah, we pay taxes because we live in Wales and we pay taxes to the Welsh government so that we can have good healthcare. But we also live in God's creation, and so we give everything back to God. We give our whole selves, our whole hearts, our whole beings to God in service to him, because it's his world and we're his creation. So I hope that makes sense. And again, I'm really sorry that I was late, but you can catch up.